Well, hello, Minecrafters. Today I have an 8-way double rail intersection for minecarts. This is a build that was recommended to make by icupZombies, so shout out to him there. I'll just go over it real quick here. It looks similar to a lot of the other intersections that I've built on my channel, but in this case, your destination is controlled by the position of an item in an item frame, and you can see that we have up here the different destinations. Let's say we want to go towards the orange line. What we'll do is we'll just set the item to match that. And we'll click the button. And here we are in the orange line. Then similarly, these are all independent. So if I want to go to, say, the blue line or the yellow line over there, set that to match yellow. Click the button. And away you go. Alright, so let's see what this looks like once we strip away all the decoration here. And there we go. And as you can see, there is a lot going on down here. And how this works is essentially we're using signal strength to determine which one of these rail switches to flip. That's stored in this yellow area. Then the green areas will then read to try to see if it matches the signal. And if it does, then it flips the appropriate switch up through there. And once the minecart then goes over the pressure, the detector rail there, then it resets it with the red there. This does look complicated, and give you fair warning, this is a pretty advanced build. It's tricky to get everything in the right direction, but it can be broken down pretty easily here since we've got a lot of repeating areas. This green section here is a duplicate of the green section here, and then we've sort of hemmed in this red line reset along with the lines to go to the rail switches, and that's actually just duplicated on each side. The only thing that differs a little bit is how the switches interact with these switches interact with the rails because of the different positioning. But other than that, it's just a duplicate on each side. It looks complicated just because everything is just shoved in here as compact as possible. Just to give you a little bit better idea of what we're looking at here, I've got another one over here. In this case, I've stripped away everything just so you can see the basic parts. So this is just essentially controlling one line here. This is essentially trying to examine the strength of the signal, filtering out those that are too weak and filtering out those that are too strong. And only if it has the exact signal that we're looking for, as designated here, gets through to flip the correct intersection. I've shown the red reset line here just to see where it is. And stripped away, on this side I've stripped away this one, and this is just the left side as opposed to the right side. This green part is actually identical. It's just shaped funny like this so that it can be fit together nice and compact. Okay, so here's going to be a tutorial. I'm not going to go over the full intersection, but we're going to do at least one full side here. So to start off, this intersection needs to be a 9 by 9 square. You can see I've built that and put some track down with the powered rail in the corners, or leading up to the corners there. That's all you'll probably really need. You can add more, and that is something you might need to do if you're going to have a lot of stuff next to the rails, since it'll slow the carts down. But just these should be enough. And so what I'm going to do is first we're going to set up the rails and the intersections and where all the lines come in, and then we'll go through all the ledgestone. Doing it this way is a little bit easier to get this down first, because there are a couple tricky points. So the first thing we're going to do is put our lines. We're going to do 2 per side of this square here, and this has 2 lines for each one. You've got the line going in, then you've got the line coming out. That would be one line. So what we're going to do is put some unpowered rail here, and then on this third block we're going to need a detector rail for the outbound and a powered rail on the inbound. And what we're going to end up doing is repeating this on all 4 sides. Okay, so you should have all four sides, and they'll look like this. And you'll notice that these intersections haven't formed a switch yet. And what we're going to do is, because of the orientation of the switch itself, we're going to change how we're going to need to set it up. And so laying out the track first like this is going to make it a little easier in the long run. I'll show you how we're going to do this. So for the outbound portion of the lines, this is the switch we need to change. And for the inbound portion of each line, this is going to be set a certain way and then never changed once we get it there. So what we're going to do for the switches then is we need to drop down one and do one on an angle like this. And on top of that, you're going to put a torch. Now, some of these intersections are going to end up with a little bit of dust there, and some of them are going to end up with a torch under there. So setting it up like this at first just makes it easier to pick which way we need to do later. So this is going to go on the outbound of each one, just like that. And I'm going to do this for all 8 lines. All right, now once you have all 8 placed, put torches on all of them. And now we get to go up. Now we'll get to go up top and see which ones are wrong. And to make it easier to see these other intersections, we're going to take away the track and place it back, and that's going to form an intersection there. And then we're going to check them. So this, you have to do this for each one of the inbound lines. And so what we want this configuration to look like is that once a cart is on the inside, it will just stay on the inside. So anything that leads it out at this moment are things we're going to have to adjust. So we can start anywhere. Okay, so if the cart's here, it's going to stay on. Uh-oh, so this is leading out. We need to change that. And for the inbound lines here, I'm going to use a powered lever. This can be a full redstone block, or you can place another block with a torch. But just for simplicity, I'm just going to use a lever for now. And so now the cart goes this way. It'll stay on the loop. Stay on the loop. Oh, that one needs to change. Place a lever there. Power it. Okay, so here this one looks like it's exiting. This is the outbound. This is where our switches are going to be. So for if this is incorrect, we need to invert this signal. Place a torch. Okay, now we're correct. Okay. Oh, we didn't fix that. Okay, that one needs to change. There we go. That one's good. This one needs to change. There we go. This one needs to change. Here's another switch. We'll put a torch under there to invert it. Okay, that's good. That's good. That one is incorrect, so that needs to get inverted. There we go. Correct, 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 incorrect. Put a torch. That's good. Good. Okay, so now if we follow this around, a cart once in this loop will stay in the loop indefinitely. And so now for the switches here that we did not place a torch at, we're going to put a little redstone in back, and that'll just help us remind us which one is which. Redstone in back, redstone in back. There we go. And you end up with 4 of each configuration. They're just in different spots. Okay, so that looks good there. So now we've essentially set up our tracks and the switches into the working configuration. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to make what's effectively a memory cell here. We're just going to do a little 3x3 in the very center of the loop, and it's going to be dropped down a couple blocks here. And I've also got a red block in the center here. That's going to be the reset, but just for positioning. You can see how that is. See, it's right in the center. And what we're going to put on these are comparators. Note that these are not repeaters. Comparators differ slightly in that they maintain the signal strength of the redstone instead of boosting it back up to full strength. That's going to be very important. So once a particular strength signal comes into the middle, it's going to be repeated around, and that signal strength is going to be kept. The red is going to end up resetting it because when this activates, it's going to lock out these repeaters, which will effectively reset this center memory. So now we're going to focus on one side here at the moment. And I've actually picked the side that has two different configurations here. We've got one switch with the redstone dust. We've got one switch using the torch, just so we could see how the different ones interact. So I'm going to focus on the right side here. And this is just this one line at the moment. So in order for this line to work, we're going to need the control here. Just do a little bit like that. And this is going to use a comparator that reads an item frame. And then that's going to generate a particular signal strength, which will then be propagated into this inner loop to make that memory cell. And here's how we're going to do that. Okay, so we got that, and then this is, we're going to drop this, make a little nook there with a bit of redstone, and this is going to drop the power right there. And then we're going to use a comparator to bring that in to the center. So this is going to propagate the same signal strength like that. And you can see it's going through already. And we're going to put a line in the middle there. But before we do that, we're going to get this button off to the side like there. And this is going to use a torch to drop power straight down. That will lock out the repeater, or excuse me, lock out that comparator until we push the button. So we're going to do that just like this with the repeater and the power going there. So that repeater is going to go into the side of the comparator and keep it off until we push the button to activate it. Okay, so what's going to happen is then this is going to come straight through here into this area here. Now we got to use comparators here, and we do them every other so that they maintain the signal strength without altering it. This is why we can't use repeaters, because repeaters bring the signal strength back up to full. And now we're making a little turn here, and you're going to notice that this is actually going to dovetail nicely with a different side where we're also going to send a signal from this direction too. They just combine to the same line. So that's going to put a particular signal strength into the middle. And then once it's in here, these repeaters will just keep it going round and round until we no longer need it, which is what the reset is for. Now once a signal is in here, we've got to have each individual line is going to be reading this signal, looking for the correct strength to flip a switch. And so what we're going to do is each side is going to pull out that signal, and once again using comparators, and we're going to drop it down and split it into two so both lines can read that. And to do that, we're going to drop it down with a block up there, go down one here, and a little bit of dust. And now this is going to be dropped down on either side here. And we're going to use comparators once again, one going out that way and one going out this way. So we're going to split this into two different, one for each line on this side, and put a block again there and drop it down again. And come back out over here. And this is going to have a bit of dust there, and we're going to need another comparator there. We're doing the same thing on the other side. This is just showing where the one's going to be. And we're just duplicating this on the other side like this. And we're going to need a bit right there. So that powers this block to power that dust. And that one comes out there. So now we're going to, now that we're able to pull that signal from that inner yellow memory cell, we've got to figure out if this signal is the correct strength. The first way we're going to do that is the signal has to be strong enough to get through this. And to do that, we're going to come off to the side here. We're going to drop this one down. we're going to drop it one down again, and then back up, just like this. It's shaped funny like this because this way the one that gets created on this side can fit underneath. And you'll see why, but essentially all we're doing is we're going to get a bit of redstone that's too long there. Do another comparator and yet another item frame. And so what's happening is this item frame, we're going to put a signal to compare against here. So what we'll need to do is, first of all, we got to put this in subtract mode. Make sure that red light is on. It's very important, or it will not work. And so now this position is going to be the position of this line, of this destination line here. So if we want to exit this, this is the position of the item that we're going to have to set when we hit the button. And so you're going to have 8 different destinations, so 8 different positions. Might as well just start right here with this one. Actually, I'm going to go this way just so we can demonstrate a little easier. We're going to start at position 2. And so this is going to create a particular signal strength. And this is actually dropping the signal that is created by 1, so that when the signal that comes through here is, this is going to subtract it. This signal is going to be subtracted from that, which, if it's correct, will leave a signal of 1 coming through. And if it's more than 1, it'll come through as well, but it has to at least get to that point. So now we've got to compare if this signal is too strong, since we've weeded out the ones that are too weak, because they got subtracted out. And to do that, well, here, let's place some stuff down here. Okay, we've done a 2x3. And we've got comparators. Once again, we still need to preserve the signal strength. One going into the block, one coming out of the block. And now we're going to move this over 1 here. So now what's going to happen is, if the signal is 1, it's just going to power this and go through the line. If it's more than 1, it's going to come out to here, go into this repeater, which will then lock out this line. So this is effectively filtering out signals that are too strong. And so we've got them filtered out if they're too weak. We've got them filtered out if they're too strong. So only the exact signal strength that we want, designated by this position here, is going to be able to get through. We're going to send that into a repeater. And now we can send that final signal up to the switch using a little bit of redstone. And now, because this one's got the torch, we just send it right into there. So that's essentially the mechanism for activating this particular switch here. So all that's left now is to set up the reset, which is activated from this detector rail. To do that, we're just going to drop down right below it. I'm going to come out one like this, and we're just going to make a little V. This will be important to fit everything in, and we might as well do it from this side as well too. It's the same thing. We drop it down 1, come over 1, and right into this V here. And then we're going to drag this line right through. Make it up to this green here. We'll put some redstone now. And next to this green block, we're going to need a repeater. This is going to insulate it from this comparator here. We don't want that interfering with the line. From here, we're actually going to send this right into a block to drop it down 1. And we're going to need to set up this reset here in the center. We're going to do that with a couple torches. Drop down 1, drop down 1 again, and just 2 torches like that. So now this line gets, drop it down, and finally over. And we're just going to do the redstone right through here. So this goes into this line. So when the reset is triggered, this will activate, turning off the torch, turning on that one, which will then lock out all the repeaters, which will effectively turn off whatever signal strength was stored in this memory here. And that is the full working of one particular line. Okay, so let's test this. So the first test we're going to do, the signal is at 1 here, and this one requires 2. So the signal isn't going to be strong enough, but let's test it to make sure. See, nothing switched. The signal didn't get through. Okay, that's how it's supposed to work. And we can see we still currently have the stored signal of 1 on the inside. So we're going to reset that by putting a cart there, and you can see that's reset. So let's try signal of 3. So that's too strong, so we should see that get locked out. Let's push the button. There's our strength of 3. You can see this repeater locked it out, and our intersection did not get flipped. Okay, let's reset that. And now we'll try the signal strength. That should be just right, since it matches. And we're going to see that. And as you see, that flipped. And that'll stay flipped, waiting for the cart to travel around the intersection. And then it will reset. So that's working perfectly. Okay, so now we're going to get our signal selector here. Just like we did on this side, it's just a little harder to get in here. That's part of the challenge of this build, is making everything fit where it's supposed to. So we're going to need a block underneath, like that. So we'll knock that out, we'll put one on. We're going to need a bit of redstone in there, don't forget that. And then a block on top of it. We've got our comparator. Put the item frame here so that we can select it now. We're going to put our button over here. And a torch dropping. That's going to drop that power down once again. Drop it down too. And now you can start to see how everything is kind of jigsawed into here, so that you get no interference. We're going to need to power this right into a block, and then into another repeater. And now here's one little aspect of this. So some of these are going to have the dust. So when you put the line here, you see we get some interference. When that happens, all you got to do is put a block on top of it just to keep those signals from interacting. Okay, so once again, we're going to drag this signal that comes through here. Let's try to get in here. There we go. We're going to need a comparator coming out right there from our selector. That repeater locks out the signal until we're ready to push the button. And then this goes straight into the memory cell there. Once again, we're going to do comparators every other to maintain that signal strength. And this is where this design dovetailed into this other one, since we would have the selector from this line flowing in from this direction here. That's where that would have been, just like how that one is over here. Just a different perspective there. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this evaluator just like we did on the other side. First, we're going to find the signal to compare it to. Drop it down, drop it down, back up. Place our comparator to redstone dust. Don't forget to flip that to subtract. And we can place our item frame. And this time we're going to use a different signal to compare to. So we're just going to we'll do a signal of 1. So we'll go 1, 2, we can just logically follow that around. Okay, this comes out exactly the same way. We're going to do a little area like this. Do comparator going into the block. 1 coming out. Do a repeater there. And 2 dust just like that. Finally, we'll do the final repeater there. And this goes straight into the line for the switch. And we'll just redstone it up to the existing redstone. Alright, so that's everything for that. We can test it. So we'll do the signal of 1, so that should activate on a signal of 1. That one should not. Go ahead and push the button. And there we saw it flip. This one did not. So then once the cart goes through, it resets. And there we go. So if we want to activate the other one, doesn't matter where it comes from, whether it's that one or this one. So this will activate this switch and not the other one. And then it resets when this goes through. And now just a quick note, because of the time it takes to evaluate, a cart coming from this direction isn't going to have time to get here. It'll just end up going all the way around and then exiting. So don't be alarmed by that. Okay, so now that we got this side working, these other sides are built exactly the same. It's just repeated 3 more times. And that's partly where this complication, of how it looks so complicated, because then everything gets stuffed in. You're going to have a green line coming out, the same spot on each side. You're going to have the purple selector going in on the same, on each portion like that. And you can see it's already starting to look complicated. But once you break it down, it's not so bad. I'm just going to go over the rest of the construction for the rails here. So we've already got 3 blocks. We're going to go out to 5 and then up 1. And we'll do that for both in and out. And these are going to be powered rails as well as these. And this time we're just going to put a little torch under there. We want that permanently powered. These we leave off. This gives the carts some braking time as they come into the station. We want it so they stop on the angle. So if they're going at a good clip, this should be enough. If they're going slow, you can do that. But it's pretty easy to keep carts up to speed. So what happens is the carts stop on the angle. So when the player's in there, he's got nice access to the button and to the selector there. And of course that looks the same on these sides too. It's a line of 5 blocks, and then they go up. And then these get powered here. And so that's what those are going to look like. And then these can go off to the various parts of your world. Alright, be sure to like and subscribe. And as the video closes, I'm just going to demonstrate some of the operation.